Welcome to Story Spell, where magical fairy tales come to life. Sit back, relax, and let the story begin. In the ancient kingdom of Eldridge, where rolling hills met endless forests and the city of Nara gleamed like a jewel under eternal blue skies, King Alexander ruled with wisdom and compassion. He was a man in his prime, tall, with broad shoulders forged by years of riding at the head of his knights, dark hair now threaded with silver at the temples, and eyes the color of storm clouds after rain. Those eyes could command armies with a single glance, yet they softened like melted honey whenever they rested on his queen. Queen Isabella was the living embodiment of grace. Her beauty was legendary, skin like fresh cream, hair a cascade of midnight silk that reached her waist, and eyes so deep and kind they seemed to hold the warmth of summer evenings. But what truly made her unforgettable was her heart. She slipped out of the palace in simple cloaks to tend the sick in the lower town, distributed bread and blankets during harsh winters, and spent her mornings in the small chapel praying not for herself, but for the happiness of every soul in the realm. For 10 perfect years, their marriage was a quiet miracle. They shared laughter over candlelit dinners, whispered dreams on the moonlit balcony overlooking the gardens, and held each other through every storm, both literal and emotional. Yet one dream eluded them. The nursery in the east wing remained empty. No tiny footsteps echoed through the corridors. No childish laughter rang in the halls. The cradle, carved from rosewood and lined with the softest velvet, gathered only dust and longing. King Alexander often found Isabella in the rose garden long after midnight, sitting alone on the marble bench beneath the trellis, staring up at the moon as though it owed her an explanation. He would drape his heavy cloak around her trembling shoulders, press a gentle kiss to her temple, and hold her close while silent tears fell. Sometimes they spoke of the future they wanted, more often, they simply sat in shared silence, their grief weaving them even closer. One crisp October afternoon, when the leaves blazed crimson and gold, the ache became too heavy to bear. Isabella could no longer pretend the pain was bearable. She summoned her private carriage, an elegant ivory brougham trimmed in gold, pulled by 4 matched snow-white Andalusians. Her loyal coachman, Marcus, a gray-haired man who had served her since childhood, bowed deeply and drove her through Nara's winding cobblestone streets to the oldest sacred site in the kingdom, the Temple of Eternal Light. The temple stood on a gentle rise overlooking the river, its ancient cedar columns smoothed by centuries of pilgrims' hands. Ivy climbed the stone walls like protective arms. Inside, the air smelled of cedar smoke and old prayers. Isabella ascended the steps alone, her pale gold silk gown whispering with every movement. She knelt at the inner threshold, pressed her forehead to the cool marble floor, and let the tears come without restraint. "Dear God," she whispered, voice cracking like thin ice, "I ask for nothing grand. No riches, no power. Only a child. Let me feel life stir within me. Let me hold a little one in my arms, teach them kindness, watch them grow. I will love them with every breath I have left. Please. Please grant me this one miracle." She remained there for hours. The sky shifted from brilliant blue to soft lavender, then to deepest indigo studded with stars. Only when her knees ached and her tears ran dry did she finally rise. As she turned to leave, something impossible caught her eye. Among the wild rose bushes lining the temple path grew a single sunflower. It was enormous, taller than a man, its thick green stem sturdy and proud. The petals were the purest, most radiant gold she had ever seen, each one edged with a faint shimmer of amber fire. The dark center glowed softly, as though lit from within by a tiny sun. The bloom swayed gently, though no wind touched the air. Isabella froze. Her heart thudded hard against her ribs. An unseen force tugged at her, gentle yet insistent. She approached slowly, knelt, and extended a trembling hand. When her fingertips brushed a petal, warmth flooded her palm, like summer sunlight poured directly into her veins. A soft, golden glow spread from the flower to her skin, then faded. Tears welled again, but these were different, tears of wonder, of fragile hope. With reverent care, she reached up and plucked the bloom. The stem snapped cleanly, as though it had been waiting for her touch. Marcus, waiting patiently below, helped her back into the carriage without a word. Sensing the sacredness of the moment, they returned to the palace beneath a sky thick with stars. In the quiet of her private chambers, Isabella placed the sunflower in a crystal vase on the table beside her bed. Its glow filled the room with warm, living light, chasing away shadows. That night, she and Alexander stood together on the balcony, wrapped in the same thick wool cloak against the autumn chill. They gazed down at the sleeping gardens, hearts heavy with the same unspoken sorrow. Then, without warning, a brilliant flash erupted from inside the bedroom. They spun around. The sunflower had grown impossibly large. Its stem now thick as a young oak, petals unfurling like golden wings. A soft wind swirled through the room, carrying the scent of fresh-cut grass and sun-warmed earth. In the center of the bloom, light gathered, spun, and coalesced, a gentle pop of golden sparks, and there, standing on the polished floor, was a baby girl. She was impossibly beautiful. Skin like moonlit porcelain, eyes the warm amber gold of honey in sunlight, tiny curls that shimmered with the same living light as the flower's petals. On her delicate head rested a perfect crown made of fresh sunflower petals, soft and moving as though breathing. When she looked up at them and laughed, a pure, bell-like sound that echoed like music, the entire chamber seemed to brighten, as though dawn had arrived early. Alexander took one trembling step forward. His strong hands, so steady in battle, shook as he lifted the child. She gazed at him with complete trust, tiny fingers reaching up to pat his bearded cheek. Another delighted laugh bubbled from her. Isabella dropped to her knees, sobbing openly, joy and disbelief crashing over her in waves. They named her Lily. Years passed in a gentle blur of love and wonder. Princess Lily grew surrounded by adoration. She learned to walk in the palace gardens, chasing butterflies among the roses. She learned to dance before she could properly speak, twirling barefoot across marble floors. Tutors came from far lands to teach her languages, history, embroidery, and music. She played the harp so beautifully that flowers in the conservatory bloomed out of season when she practiced. Yet she was never spoiled. Isabella and Alexander raised her with kindness but also discipline. They taught her humility, the value of hard work, and the importance of empathy. Lily spent afternoons helping in the kitchens, rolling dough with the cooks and laughing when flour dusted her nose. She visited the market square in disguise, listening to the stories of merchants and elders. She had a special affinity for sunflowers. She planted rows of them in the south garden, whispered secrets to their faces, and swore they nodded back. By the time she turned 18, Lily was breathtaking. Her hair fell in long, honey-dark waves to her waist. Her eyes held intelligence, compassion, and the faint echo of ancient magic. Wherever she went, people paused, nobles, servants, children, all captivated by her quiet grace. Yet she remained humble, always the first to offer help, the last to seek praise. Then came the cruelest winter the kingdom had known in generations. Queen Isabella fell ill. It began as a cough, then a fever that refused to break. The royal physicians summoned every expert in the land. They brought herbs from the high mountains, elixirs brewed under blood moons, poultices made from rare blossoms. Nothing worked. In the final days, the queen grew thin and pale, but her eyes still shone with love when they rested on her daughter. One stormy evening, she beckoned Lily close. Lily knelt by the bed, holding her mother's cold hand. "My sweet girl," Isabella whispered, voice barely audible above the rain. "My time is almost done. Your father. He will be so lonely. He may take another wife one day. Do not hate him for seeking comfort. And if he does, love her. Treat her as you would treat me. Promise me, Lily." Tears streamed down Lily's face. She pressed her mother's hand to her cheek. "I promise, Mama. With all my heart, I promise." Isabella managed one last, fragile smile. "I love you. More than the sun loves the sky." Then she closed her eyes forever. The kingdom draped itself in black. Bells tolled for a week. The palace felt hollow, as though its soul had departed with the queen. King Alexander was broken. He moved through the days like a shadow of himself, attending to duties mechanically, but his laughter was gone. 2 years passed in heavy silence. The counselors grew insistent. Alliances were needed. The throne required a queen. The kingdom needed hope. Reluctantly, Alexander agreed. His second wife arrived from a neighboring duchy, Queen Victoria. She was stunning, tall and regal, with raven black hair, sharp cheekbones, and emerald eyes that could cut glass. In public, she smiled sweetly, curtsied flawlessly, spoke in cultured tones. She charmed the court within days, but behind the perfect mask, her heart was cold stone. She had brought with her one son from her previous marriage, Prince Noah, 20 years old, handsome and charming, with an easy smile and a quick wit. He was spoiled, yes, but not cruel. He adored his new stepsister from the moment he met her. Victoria, however, hated Lily instantly. She saw the princess's effortless beauty, the people's love for her, the way Alexander's eyes still lit up only for his daughter. Lily was living proof that Victoria would forever be second best. The hatred simmered quietly at first. Cold silences, barbed compliments, small humiliations disguised as concern. Lily endured it all. Every day she remembered her mother's dying words. She curtsied low, offered help with household matters, smiled through the insults. Many nights she cried alone in her room, clutching the pillow that still carried the faint scent of Isabella's lavender perfume. But Prince Noah became her closest friend. They rode together through the forests at dawn, played chess by the fire on rainy afternoons, shared secrets and laughter until their sides ached. To him, she was simply Lil, beloved stepsister, confidant, family. For a while, the palace held an uneasy peace, but storms were gathering. The palace had settled into an uneasy rhythm after Queen Victoria's arrival, but beneath the surface, resentment grew like ivy in the dark. Victoria watched Lily with the cold precision of a hawk studying prey. Every smile the princess received from the servants, every admiring glance from visiting nobles, every tender look from King Alexander felt like a personal insult. Then came the event that would ignite the powder keg, the grand cultural festival of the 5 kingdoms. It was the most anticipated celebration in a decade. Kings, queens, ambassadors, and even the distant emperor of the southern sultanate had accepted invitations. The highlight was the royal dance competition, an ancient tradition where performers showcased the soul of their kingdoms through movement, music, and grace. The winner would receive not only immense honor but also rare gifts from the emperor himself. Both Queen Victoria and Princess Lily entered, Victoria prepared with ruthless determination. She commissioned the finest seamstresses to create a gown of deep scarlet silk that flowed like liquid fire. She rehearsed for weeks with the most expensive dance masters, perfecting every sharp turn, every dramatic pose. Her dance would be powerful, commanding, unforgettable. Lily, by contrast, chose simplicity. She wore a flowing gown of pale gold chiffon that shimmered like dawn light on water. She adorned her hair with fresh sunflowers she had picked herself that morning. She rehearsed alone in the moonlit gardens, letting the music guide her rather than forcing it. The night of the competition arrived. The grand hall was transformed into a dreamscape. Crystal chandeliers blazed like captured stars, golden banners hung from the rafters, and thousands of candles flickered along the walls. The emperor sat at the center of the high table, flanked by kings and queens, his dark eyes watchful, Queen Victoria danced first. The orchestra struck a dramatic chord. She swept onto the floor like a storm. Her movements were sharp, precise, and full of commanding energy, every spin a declaration of power, every step a challenge to the world. The audience watched in awe. When she finished with a final, imperious pose, the hall erupted in applause. Nobles rose to their feet. Even the emperor inclined his head in approval. Then came Lily. The music changed, soft, flowing, like a gentle river finding its way to the sea. A single harp began, joined by flutes and distant strings. Lily stepped forward. She didn't command the stage. She became it. Her body moved as though the music lived inside her. Arms lifted like wings, hair floating in golden waves, feet barely seeming to touch the marble. There was innocence in her steps, but also something ancient and sacred, as though the spirit of the sunflower that had given her life was dancing through her. Sunlight seemed to pour from her fingertips, warming the entire hall. Flowers in the vases along the walls turned slowly toward her, petals opening wider. The audience forgot to breathe. When the final, lingering note faded, silence held for a long heartbeat. Then the hall exploded, thunderous applause. Shouts of bravo. Roses, lilies, and sunflowers rained onto the floor in a fragrant storm. The emperor stood. He walked down the steps himself, placed a heavy diamond and emerald necklace around Lily's neck, and presented her with a velvet chest containing pearls from the deepest oceans, rubies the size of quail eggs, and ancient scrolls of wisdom. He declared her the undisputed winner. Queen Victoria stood frozen at the edge of the dais. Her face was a mask of ice, but her eyes burned. In that moment, jealousy turned to pure, murderous hatred. She smiled for the cameras of the court painters, curtsied gracefully when congratulated, but inside, something snapped. Weeks passed. The court whispered about the princess's triumph. Gifts arrived daily from admirers across the kingdoms. King Alexander beamed with pride whenever Lily entered a room. Victoria waited. One brilliant spring afternoon, Lily and Prince Noah sat together in the rose garden, the same place where they had shared so many happy hours. Noah was telling her a ridiculous story about his latest hunting trip, making her laugh until tears came to her eyes. From an upper window, Victoria watched, her lips curled. She went to the kitchens alone. She prepared 2 bowls of creamy rice pudding, their favorite childhood treat. In one bowl, she carefully stirred a slow-acting poison she had acquired months earlier from a discreet alchemist in the shadow markets. The poison was tasteless, odorless, and merciless. Carrying the bowls on a silver tray, she approached the garden with a practiced smile. "My darlings," she called sweetly, "I made your favorite with my own hands. Come eat while it's still warm." She handed the poisoned bowl to Lily and the safe one to Noah. Then she turned and walked away quickly, pretending to have urgent business inside. Noah took a big spoonful immediately. Mother outdid herself this time. "It's perfect." Lily smiled and began eating slowly, savoring the familiar taste. But Noah, still hungry and playful as ever, grinned mischievously. "You're too slow, Lil. Give me that." Before she could protest, he playfully snatched the bowl from her hands and gulped down the rest in a few eager bites. Lily laughed. "Noah, you're impossible." Then everything changed. Noah's smile faltered. He pressed a hand to his stomach. His face drained of color. His skin turned a sickly blue. He gasped, eyes wide with sudden terror. "Lily. Something's wrong." He collapsed onto the grass. Lily screamed. Servants came running. Queen Victoria appeared moments later, barefoot, shrieking in feigned horror. "Noah. My baby. What happened?" The royal physician was summoned within minutes. He worked frantically, antidotes, prayers, compresses. But the poison had spread too far, too fast. Prince Noah died in his mother's lap, Whispering her name one last time, the palace plunged into grief. Queen Victoria's mourning was loud and theatrical. She tore her clothes, wailed in the corridors, collapsed dramatically at the funeral. But in private, her grief twisted into something darker. She blamed Lily. She began spreading whispers through trusted servants. The princess was jealous of Noah's place in the family. She poisoned him to secure her inheritance. The rumor spread like wildfire. Some believed it. Others did not. King Alexander, still away on a long diplomatic journey to the northern borders, was unreachable. Victoria's hatred now had a single, burning focus. She remembered the old legend whispered among the oldest servants. Princess Lily had not been born of woman. She had come from a sunflower. She was magic itself. One moonless night, Victoria slipped out of the palace in a plain cloak. She rode hard to a crumbling tower on the edge of the kingdom, home to a notorious sorcerer named Malachar. She entered the dim, smoke-filled chamber and emptied a heavy bag of gold onto the table. "I want her gone," she said, voice low and venomous. "Forever." Malachar's eyes gleamed. He listened to her story, then smiled with crooked teeth. He reached into a cupboard and withdrew a small jar of glowing green clay. "Throw this upon her," he instructed. "She will revert to her true form, a sunflower. Then burn the flower. She will be erased from existence." Victoria paid him triple the asking price. She returned to the palace with triumph burning in her veins. King Alexander was still away. The moment had come. The palace was unnaturally quiet that afternoon, as though even the birds knew something terrible was about to happen. Princess Lily sat in her favorite window seat, a book of old poetry open on her lap. Sunlight poured through the leaded glass, painting golden patterns across the pages. She was humming softly to herself, a gentle tune her mother used to sing. When the door opened without a knock, Queen Victoria stepped inside, alone. Her face was calm, almost serene, but her eyes glittered with something dark and final. Lily looked up, offering a small, polite smile. "Good afternoon, stepmother. Is everything all right?" Victoria did not answer. Instead, she raised her hand. In her palm lay the small jar of glowing green clay. Before Lily could rise or speak, Victoria hurled the contents at her. The green clay struck Lily's chest and exploded into blinding light. Lily gasped. Her body shimmered, blurred, began to fold in on itself like paper caught in flame. Colors swirled, gold, green, white. In seconds, where the princess had stood now rested a single perfect sunflower. Tall, radiant, petals burning with impossible light. Victoria stared for a long moment, breathing hard. Then she laughed, a low, triumphant sound that echoed off the stone walls. She snatched the flower by its stem, carried it to the massive stone fireplace in the corner of the room, and threw it into the roaring flames. The petals curled black. The center flared once, brightly, then crumbled to fine gray ash. Victoria watched until nothing remained but embers. She turned, wiped her hands on her skirt as though dusting off flour, and walked out smiling. But the universe, it seemed, had not finished writing this story. A sudden, fierce wind tore through the open window, like the breath of an angry god. It gathered the ashes in a spiraling column, lifted them high above the palace towers, and carried them away. Miles they traveled, across rivers that sparkled like silver ribbons, through forests where ancient oaks whispered secrets, over valleys painted with wildflowers, until at last the wind gently set the ashes down in a hidden glade deep in the neighboring kingdom of Eldora. The glade was a place of magic few ever found, soft moss underfoot, sunlight filtering through leaves like golden rain, flowers of every color blooming without season. And there, from the ashes, a new sunflower rose almost instantly, taller than any before, its petals glowing with a soft inner fire, its face turned toward the sky as though waiting. Time passed. Seasons turned. One golden autumn morning, Prince Julian of Eldora rode alone through the deep woods, bow across his back, seeking solitude after weeks of court duties. He was 23, tall, lean, with chestnut hair that caught the light and storm-gray eyes that saw more than most. He had always preferred the quiet of the forest to the noise of the palace. His horse wandered from the path, drawn by some invisible pull. Julian let it go, trusting the animal's instinct. They entered the hidden glade. There stood the sunflower, alone in the center, shining like a fallen piece of sun. Julian dismounted slowly. He approached, heart suddenly pounding for no reason he could name. The flower seemed sorrowful, beautiful beyond words, yet lonely. He knelt before it. "You're the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen," he whispered. "Why do you look so sad?" Gently, almost reverently, he leaned forward and pressed his lips to the very center of the bloom. A soft, innocent kiss born of wonder and quiet longing. Light exploded, golden fire swirled upward in a perfect spiral. The flower trembled, grew, transformed. Before him stood Princess Lily, alive, whole, breathtaking. She stared at him, eyes wide with shock and dawning recognition. Tears filled them instantly. You freed me," she breathed. Julian rose, speechless for a moment, then found his voice. "I don't know who you are, but I know I never want to let you go." Lily told him everything. She spoke of her miraculous birth, her beloved mother, the cruel stepmother, the poison that killed her brother, the sorcerer's clay, the fire. She spoke until her voice broke and tears streamed down her face. Julian listened without interrupting, face darkening with anger, then softening with fierce protectiveness. When she finished, he took both her hands in his. "Marry me," he said simply. "Come home with me. No one will ever hurt you again." Lily looked into his eyes, honest, steady, kind. She had no palace to return to. No safety there. Only danger, she nodded. Prince Julian brought her to the palace of Eldora with the greatest care. They were married under a canopy of autumn stars in a private ceremony witnessed only by his parents, King Benjamin and Queen Eleanor, and a handful of trusted friends. Lily wore a gown of white silk embroidered with tiny golden sunflowers. When Julian slipped the ring onto her finger, the entire garden seemed to sigh with happiness. Word of the marriage spread slowly at first, then like wildfire. King Alexander, still grieving the disappearance of his daughter, received an invitation to a diplomatic banquet in Eldora. He accepted with a heavy heart. When he entered the grand hall, he froze. There, standing beside Prince Julian, radiant in a gown of pale gold, was Lily, father. She ran to him. They collided in an embrace so tight it hurt, both sobbing openly. Lily told him the whole terrible truth, every betrayal, every horror, every miracle. Alexander's face went white with rage, then red with fury. "That woman," he whispered. "She will pay for every tear she caused you." He turned to Prince Julian and clasped his shoulders. "You have given me back my daughter. You have my eternal gratitude. She is yours now. But she will always be my heart." King Benjamin stepped forward with a warm smile. "Then we are family. We will love and protect her as our own." The feast that followed was filled with joy and quiet healing. When Alexander returned to his kingdom, he wasted no time. He convened a full royal tribunal. Witnesses were called. The old servants spoke. The sorcerer Malachar, fearing for his life, confessed everything. Traces of the poison were found in the kitchens. Letters, gold payments, and hidden journals were uncovered. Queen Victoria was arrested at dawn. She screamed, denied, wept crocodile tears before the court. But the evidence was overwhelming, ironclad. The sentence was read in the Great Hall before the entire kingdom: life imprisonment in the deepest tower of the Black Fortress, where no sunlight ever reached, where the walls were cold stone, and where she would spend the rest of her days alone with her guilt. She was led away in chains, still protesting. And so the story found its ending. Princess Lily and Prince Julian built a life of deep, quiet love. They had 3 children, Two sons with their father's gray eyes and mischievous smiles, and a little daughter with golden curls and her mother's gentle laugh. The gardens of Eldora bloomed with sunflowers every season, endless rows of them, turning their faces to follow the sun. Every evening, Lily and Julian walked hand in hand among the flowers. Sometimes, when the breeze moved just right, the sunflowers seemed to whisper, "Thank you. For second chances, thank you. For love that refuses to die," and they all lived happily ever after. Thanks for listening to Story Spell. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a magical adventure.